Hey VCE HHD students, my name's Andy. I'm a VCE Health and Human Development teacher. In this short video, we're going to look at common command terms in VCE HHD, video number 2. Before we dive into this video, just a reminder there's a range of different ways you can engage with the Health Resources Hub. We've got our YouTube channel, there's over 150 content videos, SAC and exam tips, and new videos are coming out each week during the school term this year. If you're on YouTube, you can subscribe with the button in the bottom corner of the video there to get alerts to all of our new videos, or you can just go to YouTube and search for the Health Resources Hub. We've also got our website, the hrh.net.au, where there's opportunities for teachers and students. And if you're a Unit 3 and 4 student and you head there, you can scroll to the bottom of the page and sign up to our free student newsletter. That's coming out twice a term this year with free SAC and exam resources. And so if you sign up, you'll get sent the most recent version on the same day you register. We've also got there our social media links if you'd like to follow us and get alerts to our new videos and other opportunities, and also our email if you'd like to get in touch. So we have done a previous video already looking at some of the common command terms in VCE HHD. So this is video number 2, extending on that. So we're going to look at explain, discuss, and also justify in this particular video here. So as we mentioned in our previous video, these are command terms that are common in SACs in the end of your exam, and it's important to know what they're asking of you so you can make sure you include the required information in your response. So explain is a pretty common one when it comes to SACs in the end of your exam. And so typically, as the, command term suggests, you're being asked to give essentially an account of why or how things might be linked, or the cause and effect, of particular concepts, or to make the relationships between things evident. And so often in health, you're explaining how one particular, concept might lead to or contribute to another. So you can see down at the bottom there an example of a question from a past paper where it's asking you to explain how the lack of access to basic hand washing facilities might contribute to the burden of disease for children. And so, as I mentioned, often in health, it's trying to link together two particular concepts or ideas. And often some of those things that you're linking to will be some of those health status indicators or concepts like burden of disease or health and well-being or human development. And so you can see this one here is asking why a lack of access to basic hand washing facilities might contribute to burden of disease. So often you've got to give, some information about that first concept that will then, logically flow on to the next. So the fact that lack of access to basic hand washing facilities means that people might be more likely, to contract or pick up bacteria in dirty water, and then link that to a health condition. So it might be an infectious disease, and then link that on to how that contributes to burden of disease. So you're explaining that link, or the relationship between those two concepts. Down the bottom then, another question was asking you in a past paper to explain why education and shelter are prerequisites for health. So that's kind of divided into two-mark questions, so 2 for education and 2 for shelter. So why they're necessary, as prerequisites for health. And so because it mentions health there, you'd be linking them into either health and well-being or health status. So once again, you're kind of linking two aspects together. You can see here, this was a question that was worth another mark, so 3 marks. So often explain questions are worth 2, 3, or sometimes maybe even 4 marks. And so this one was asking you to explain how consuming the recommended 5 serves of vegetables would have an impact on burden of disease in Australia. So you've also got to look at, the way in which the question is directing you, when you're answering these questions. So this is about consuming the recommended serves of vegetables, not under consuming. So you've got to make sure you follow that direction they've given you there in the question. But once again, you're linking that into burden of disease. And if it is worth 3 or 4 marks, then I'd be trying to think of, well, how can I make sure that I'm not just doing, say, one link to, from consuming the recommended serves of vegetables to one example of burden of disease. I'd probably be trying to do 2 different examples of burden of disease, say a YLL and a YLD, to ensure that I'm achieving, all of those 3 marks. So if you just do to one, aspect like YLD, then you might only have written enough to achieve a 2-mark response instead of a 3. So a 3-mark response typically requires some additional piece of information, to ensure that you're achieving that 3rd mark. Okay, so then sometimes discuss also comes up. And so discuss is definitely a type of question that's normally allocated more than, say, 3 marks in a SAC or an end of year exam. And so that's often because you're presenting like a balanced argument, identifying a range of different issues, and you might be showing some strengths and weaknesses or points for and against something. And so typically the questions that pop up in the exam regarding discuss, okay, might be worth, say, even 6 and 10 marks. So you can see down the bottom here from a previous paper, it said, using the information above, discuss the implications of increasing life expectancy for Australia's health system. So you're going to be expected to go into quite a bit of detail for a 6-mark question here. And as this suggested, okay, in this question here, you're obviously drawing in information that was provided prior to the question there. And it's talking about the implications. And so obviously you've got to then take that term implications and think about, given the information that was provided, what way you want to go with that. Does it mean that there'll be negative implications or positive implications? And you might even mention both of those in a discuss type question. So as the sort of description up there talks about, you can balance, okay, or provide, say, pros and cons in a discuss to make sure that you're going into enough detail, essentially a discussion. Imagine you're having a discussion with somebody in your class about something and exploring, all aspects of something to ensure you're achieving those 6 marks. You can also see here, okay, this is just a snapshot of a previous exam paper's extended response question that was worth 10 marks. And so you can see here, it mentioned to use all the information from 3 sources and your own knowledge to discuss, and then it's mentioning, okay, 3 different things. So once again, okay, as a 10-mark question, you're going into quite a bit of detail and considering the connections between things and the implications, okay, for and against. So make sure that you have a chance to practice some of these questions here and other discussed questions so that you've got that down pat. Now, the other one we're going to look at in this video is justify. So if you're being asked to justify something, you're providing information that's, say, defending a previous response, or providing information that's backing up something that you've said previously, okay, with information or reasoning or a sound argument or data or other information. So you can see here, past questions in exam papers have asked you to identify a low-income country from a table, okay, and then use data from the table to justify. So as I said there, it's like you're backing up a previous response and you're providing information to say why that's true. Then down the bottom there, outline and justify one way of taking social action in relation to achieving SDG 1, no poverty. So you're outlining, okay, the social action, and then you're justifying, okay, why it would help to achieve SDG 1, no poverty. And so once again, as I mentioned, you have to then make links regarding why the social action you provided is relevant to achieving SDG 1, no poverty. So as I said there, that term is really showing evidence or information to back up something else that you previously said within your answer. Okay, hopefully you found this video useful. Just a reminder, we've got a session coming up online preparing for the extended response question in VCE HHD. So this is looking at those 8 and 10 mark questions, okay, that we just briefly touched on, okay, that sometimes pop up in SACs and definitely the end of year exam. And so this session here, okay, is being held online on June 6th from 5 to 6:15 p.m. And so these questions are typically the most challenging and lowest scoring for students. So this session is designed to help you, okay, to respond to those types of questions and give you an edge over other students. And so if you register online here, okay, with this link, or you head to our website where there's a link to register, you'll get sent 2 practice extended response questions to complete prior to the session. And then I'll go through the answers to those and approaching those in the actual session. And then you'll get a PDF, okay, that I'll also go through during the session with information on how to analyze and link sources, break down these types of questions and approach structuring and writing an answer. And then you'll get some additional practice extended response questions that you can try to complete following the session after hopefully be able to put into action what you've learned. Okay, thanks so much.